Let me tell you something, my friend. Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane. It's got no use on the inside. You better get used to that idea.
Hope is a dangerous thing. As the great Red, I forget his last name, from Shawshank said.
Red, yeah. It was on telly, actually. What made me think of it is it was on, again, it's on like 3 times a year, I assume. Really is the most played movie, I'm sure, on television. That made me think,
But
that scene.
Excellent
Analogy.
quote.
It's how I feel right at the moment with the result of the weekend. I don't, so scared.
Can I offer you a reassuring quote?
Yeah, what's that?
Fear can hold you prisoner.
Oh, God.
But hope can set you free.
Well, that's all right.
Believe.
Maybe I am more fearful. Let's talk about beating Collingwood twice in a year.
We will chat a bit more about this, but yes, let's talk about Collingwood, the team we beat.
Isn't it nice?
For the second time, quite comfortably. 16-6, 102, 9-10, 64, the final scores.
And put them to second last. I mean, there's a little bit of, with the result from Adelaide winning, the little bit of joy. There is
a bit of joy. And also the fact that Collingwood did trade away their first-round pick this year to GWS, which I'm assuming they didn't think would be pick 2, in a draft where they're going to have to spend all their points to get Dacos. That is just horrible from them. Props to GWS, who may have looked at that trade and gone, yeah, righto. We'll give you a couple of second-round picks this year. We'll have yours next year. No worries at all.
What a trade. I'd also like to ask, and I know this is a bit nasty, but I'm going to do it anyway, Sam. Do you reckon Adam Sard, how's he feeling? He's not going to be playing next week, whereas our boys will be.
Look, Sardi, if you're listening, phone in.
No, don't, actually.
Don't, actually, no. Look, if I ran into the man on the street, I might not say these things, but yeah. It's pretty funny, I guess, for us when a player leaves because he's not getting the role he wants. He goes to what he sees as a club with a more opportunity for success. And they fail miserably and are probably going to sack their third coach in like 5 years. So,
and who's to say that next year or the year after they might not be better than us? But right now, there's just, and you've got to enjoy these moments of right now. You can't worry too much about the future. But right now, hey to us.
Yeah, hey to us. A bit of the Arsenal's about Carlton. Keep sacking coaches. Just keep sacking coaches.
Not do it, but
stick to your man. There's lessons to be learnt from Collingwood earlier on with Buckley. They could have sacked him, and then
there's so many clubs. Yeah, Melbourne,
even Richmond. Richmond nearly sacked.
Richmond,
friggin' Hartley.
But there was pressure on Goodwin to go. Now they've ended up as minor premiers and in very good position to win a flag. Now the thing that'll stop them winning a flag will be another very good team coming at them. So, that's okay.
Stick by a man, Carlton. I don't
stand by your man.
If Teague's still garbage in 3 years, all right, we'll have a conversation. But if Truck had a poor year, I want us to stick by the man for the minute.
And I'm not to go off the target of this, but part of that too, we've had 2 COVID years of football, which has been really
ruined
hard.
A lot of things. Yep.
Yeah, ruined a lot. And I'd be pretty upset at the drafting. Now I don't know enough of how football clubs work, and if the coaches sit down with the drafting guys and say, we need this, we need that, these are the players. But the fact that they went after Williams, Sard, and who's the other one they got in?
You're telling the story.
Anyway, well, the 3 these half-back flankers, really, and that's where they had strength anyway.
They would have wanted Williams to turn into a midfielder. A bit more, but
that would require him being fit, and he's clearly not.
Now, we are called the Sam and Nath Footy Podcast, and we can talk about footy, but we are here to talk about Essendon. And I will just say, look, we don't want to dip too much into dogs and finals because that's what our preview's for.
Thursday, yep.
2021, we finished above Carlton, big tick. We finished above Collingwood, big tick. Yep. We finished above Hawthorn, big tick. And we finished bloody... And Richmond, yes, apologies, and Richmond, big tick. We finished 8th, and we earned it. We did it our way.
Yep.
We didn't have to rely on other teams.
2-6 or something?
We were 2-6 after 8 rounds.
2-6.
And We're 8th.
We came out with
we
11
did it on our
wins,
own.
which is not unreal, but it got us into 8. And we seriously, at the start of the year, we would have jumped at that and thought,
Absolutely.
yes.
Actually, probably not, to be fair, given our history. But again, I don't want to talk too much about that because that's what the preview's for.
That's right.
This game, Collingwood, I've never felt more comfortable watching our football. I have this weird sense of
relaxing.
comfort and just belief that these guys are good, their systems seem good, and they are going to beat teams like Collingwood, which is a new feeling for me. I can only imagine it's kind of what Richmond supporters have felt prior to this year over the last couple of years.
Oh,
and I envy that.
I think we need to put it in perspective, and that Collingwood are bad.
Collingwood
very,
are bad,
very
but
bad.
When we've
They
played
have
bad teams,
players all over the place.
When we've played them,
kids are bad.
Yes. Well, no, the kids are okay. When we've played bad teams in the past, it's nerve-wracking. Even when Collingwood kicked a couple of goals in the first quarter, I went, nah, we're fine.
There were a couple of lucky ones, really.
A couple from mistakes from us. But we'll get into that.
Yeah.
For the 30th time I've said that, we'll get into that.
Let's get into it then, Sam.
Player-wise...
This is when like some sort of audio needs to play, like of our...
Maybe next year when I can be bothered editing these.
All right, well, put in some effort, Sam.
I just don't want to listen to my own voice. That's all. Big day for Waterman, 4 goals. Big day for Peter Wright, 4 goals to half time, actually. He was held goalless in the second half. That could have been anything. Red Dog Redmond, 2 goals, as with Devon Smith, Jake Stringer, kicked 2 as well. Archie Perkins, Will Snelling with 1 apiece. For the Pies, just Jamie Elliott with 4. The rest singles to Cameron Dacos, DeGoey, who actually played a really good game. Hoskin Elliott and Josh Thomas. Ball getters, Taylor Adams, 31 for the Pies. Zach Merritt, 27 for us. Next best for us, rather amazingly, Tom Cutler, 24. Equal with Jake Stringer, 24. Nick Hine, 23. Dev Smith, 23. Heppel, 22. McGrath, nice little comeback for him after his first game back, 21. Parish, 21. Redmond, 21.
That Cutler's playing some decent football. Like, seriously, I've got to give credit where credit is due. I was worried about him when he first came back into that team, but in the last 2, maybe 3 weeks, he has been a very important player in the way we're setting up off our back half. So,
yep. I know I do this every week. I kind of run off the individuals and then go to talk about the teams and not the individuals until later. But
yeah, no, it's very hard for me.
Yeah, fair enough, actually. It's only just dawned on me that that's probably the wrong way around to do it. But anywho, I digress.
We'll get it better for next year, won't we?
We're learning.
Sound and a proper...
Learning.
Yep.
More ball for us. We had 42 more touches across the game, 9 more inside 50s, as good as 82% disposal efficiency, which I would think is quite elite across a game of football.
Very, very good.
Pies no disgrace at 73% either.
But I think that says a lot about how unpressured the game was. Like Collingwood didn't bring a lot to the pressure, and so I think that 80% is obvious of the situation for me.
Yep. We lost the contested ball. We'll go into that a little bit, I think, about our midfield. 10 more marks, 4 more marks inside 50, 4 more contested marks overall, and we spent the entire game in front. 1 hour, 4 minutes.
That is funny. I didn't know
104 minutes, sorry. 104 minutes and 4 seconds. Collingwood 0-0 in front, which is excellent. Quite low on tackles, but as you said, that is probably reflective of the game. In general, of our 45 tackles, though, 14 of them were inside our forward 50, as opposed to 4 tackles inside Collingwood's forward 50 for them. And that's probably the tale of the game. Forward half pressure was elite.
And that surely has to go towards Smith and probably a little bit of Guelphy. But best game of Smith, I would give him, do we do 3-2-1s?
Oh, at the end.
He would.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he'll be my 3.
Spoilers.
Because people are going to be waiting around for that. He was the Smith we remember from the best and fairest year. He was in the face. You know how we talked about he needs to be annoying but not to give away 50s.
He's done that.
He was that guy. He was mouthy. He was tackling. He was.
Can we just talk about the game and leave the individuals. Remember, the individuals come
really
later.
The structure.
This is the structure every week. We do game, then players.
Sorry.
You don't have to shut up. We can, and you can mention players. Just don't go into detail. Well, that's later. Forward half pressure, as you said, Dev was phenomenal in that area. 14 tackles inside our forward 50, reeks of forward pressure and scores from turnovers, which we did a lot of. Probably not disappointing factor. The only negative question mark, whatever you want to call it, would be centre clearances. We probably lowered our colours a bit there. Grundy and Draper were pretty close on hit-outs. There was no real difference there. Draper won a bit of his own ball in terms of clearances a bit more, but their mids just seemed to get it right. DeGoey had a good game, as I say, but
Taylor Adams was dominant.
Taylor Adams was good. But it was good that you could have DeGoey have a good game. You could have them getting a bit of an edge around the middle. We still kept them to 9 goals, and we still won the game comfortably. Which is good because, Essendon of the past, you may have been critical of one game plan, and if that doesn't work, well, then you start to lose games of football. And our centre bounce work has been what's won us games, especially against the Dogs.
My view on this would be I'm not going to look too much into that sort of a stat for this week because the mentality of the players would have been like, look, we just have to win it, and at the moment we're winning the game. Like, we don't have to pick up the clear. Like, they were winning it easily around ground. It didn't matter that they were losing the clearances, so that wouldn't have been something the coaches would have barely mentioned. Like, just keep doing what you're doing, boys. But they looked at those plus and minus numbers and thought, yeah, we're losing the clearances. That's a concern, but it's not hurting us anywhere else. It's not hurting us anywhere else, so it's not a concern. Whereas if you're playing the Dogs and that's happening and they're scoring from those and all that's going on, then you've got to do something about it. But
I guess that's my point, is that it shows that we've either got a plan B, that if we're not winning the ball out of the middle, we can win it somewhere else.
Yep.
In that scenario,
we're winning off the back half.
Yeah, in that scenario, then if the Dogs do happen to get on top, we've got something to fall back on and something where we might be able to draw on and go, well, we didn't get the ball against Collingwood, but
yeah, but you can't. It's going to be a lot harder.
It'll be a lot harder against the Bulldogs.
I'll let it get ahead of myself, so I won't talk about it. Go. Give me more your stats.
This is not an authoritarian podcast. I don't know if that's the right word. Yeah, we'll let that one go. I'll stop. I don't really have any more stats on the game. I reel them off, and I think it's good to chat about why we sort of won the game, but maybe before we talk about the individuals that did that and how they contributed to us winning the game. Collingwood were abysmal. It's just not beat around the bush. They were awful.
They are not the competition we're going to get this week.
No.
There was
their
no
mids
pressure
were
in the
okay.
game. There was no hassle. There was a couple of moments where there was a bit of quick hand balling going on, and that was exciting. But
I will say, actually, on that. So, just to finish that thought, Collingwood were poor. Their midfield was okay. Everywhere else was pretty stinky. DeGoey had a good game. Credit to him. Adams had a good game.
Very good game.
That's probably about it, really.
Side bottom was fumbly.
Sidebum, and got in the way, quite often smothered his own teammates' possessions. Just got in the way. Interesting one for them.
I really think that we can't, it's going to be a hard review because, for one, we're too focused on next week, and that game will be nothing like what we play on Sunday. Nothing. No. Like the pressure. I watched a bit of the finals. I watched some of the games from last week against the top sort of 4 to 6 teams. Like the Doggies, Port Adelaide, the Geelong Melbourne game, and those sort of games. And the pressure in those games, like I couldn't get over how fumbly Port Adelaide were, and how clean the Dogs were in certain parts of it. And whereas when I watched our game, we were quite clean, but there was not the same pressure was around. So
not the same pressure. I was actually going to comment on that, and that's an excellent little segue. Thank you.
Boom, done it again. I'm walking away.
We're just wavelength. Sometimes, at times yesterday, I found our handballing to be brilliant. Like we got out of trouble. so well, and again, a little bit reflective of Collingwood's pressure, maybe not quite being there, but they just found that target, and they knew where their teammate was going to be, which is what Richmond have done up till this year.
There was always another one. There was always another person to get to, and then we got moving forward, and then the run. I think it was one in the first quarter where we had this little side, and then the run came, and then there was a bit of a bad kick or a bad something like that. Something stopped it, but Jesus, it was elite.
I watched the highlights this morning of old mate that posts just the goals on YouTube. DW29. I'm sorry, I don't know what it is. You know who you are, and if you watch his videos, you'll know who he is. There was a passage of play, and it happened a few times, where we got on the run off half back, and we'd get to sort of just forward of wing, and we'd look up and go, shit, there's nothing there. 12 months ago, 18 months ago, that kick would have been bombed probably straight to a Collingwood defender. Now, they look inboard, they hit a target, they reload with a different angle of attack, and we scored from it.
And on that, the other thing we're doing more of too is that we're put eyes down and we're hitting short targets inside the 50. So if we're 60 or 70 out, somebody kicked it to Perkins, I think it was, or I can't even remember.
I know.
And it was only a little dinky 20 metres, 15-metre kick, but it was good.
Now, I know I told you not to talk about the individuals just yet, but Tom Cutler did a kick to Alec Waterman where Cutler had it, I reckon, 80 out on the members' side. Waterman was by himself. But any kick to Waterman... Any kick to Waterman in that scenario, if it was too high, would have just been absolutely clobbered by 300 Collingwood supporters, players, even though Waterman was all by himself. The kick had to be low, flat, high enough to get over Maynard, but with enough power to get... And it was just perfect. Beautiful kick.
And that's the thing that when we got Cutler, that was what I was expecting more of, because that's what I'd seen him do up at Brisbane, was his kicking. He was elite with his kicking. And I was really surprised with some of those early games. He was butchering the ball and maybe it just took him time. Confidence. A bit like Franger is another one. Franger, he's got a bit more confidence in the last few weeks have progressed. I thought his first game back after his rest, he was clumsy. He looked nervous. Slipping over. He was dropping simple marks. He had 20 possessions on the weekend, going at 100% efficiency. That is good football.
Yeah.
You don't have to kick a goal to play that role that he's playing right now. He's involved in contests. He's crashing packs. He's getting up the ground, which is allowing Wright and Waterman to be deeper and be the threats that they are down there.
Yeah. We will talk more about Francis because there's more there actually to talk about with him. There was one other kick I want to highlight too. Nick Hind, right at the end, we got a free kick. I think it was in the lead up to our last goal of the game. Mm-hmm. We got a free kick. Hind ended up with it. He didn't really want advantage. The umpire called advantage. Hind kind of stopped and went, oh, well, bugger you, I'll kick it then. And just did the most perfect kick. I can't remember who our forward was that marked it, but it was the most perfect kick. It made the forward turn around, lead into it, and mark it. Like, the defender didn't stand a chance. And it just made it so much better because Hind had really given up and wanted the free kick back, but he was forced to kick it. So, yeah, big turnaround from what we were sitting here in our first couple of pods talking about our forward line. Big turnaround. You right there? You're just off.
I was just looking at some stats.
Off with the fairies there. It was Nathan.
Well, you're on your rant. I was going, just let it go.
You lot can't see him.
But he's allowed to talk about players.
He was just off.
How come you're allowed to talk about players? And I'm not allowed when I say
because I'm not going into enormous amounts of detail. You're taking away from the conversation we're about to have. Because...
Are we allowed to talk about players now?
That was an excellent segue. Let's talk about some players. Let's flick over to the old player
hard
stats
work.
page.
You are hard work, Sam.
Maybe it is authoritarian. I should have left it. Why did I go back to authoritarian? Dev Smith.
What?
Let's have some love for Dev.
Did you say dance with me?
Dev Smith.
Okay.
Let's have some love.
Dance with me.
Oh, you dance with me if you want, but let's talk about Dev while we dance.
Look, he was awesome, and I guess the conversation has to move between players this week and what we'll be thinking about next week. And he played that small forward role as well as anyone has this year. And the question I guess we asked ourselves is, does Tippin Woody come back in for next week? If he's fit, I don't know his physical and mental situation, but I would assume with 2 weeks off, physically he should be okay, shouldn't he?
Well, physically, yes. And this is something we can talk about without crossing over too much into preview, because we will chat about the changes we might expect for that game.
But my point is, I guess before we get ahead of that, it's just that, gee, it's hard to see someone else coming in. If that's the way Dev Smith can play that role, then maybe at the moment, and I know this sounds stupid, that maybe it's better not to have Tippin Woody in that team, because if Smith's going to play like that again, hopefully this week, then...
Well, I think we'll chat about Waller, definitely. For Dev, 111 fantasy, 2 goals, 23 touches, 4 tackles, and a couple of clearances. But
I imagine a lot of pressure acts and all that sort of stuff that we don't see a lot of stats too for.
You were spot on earlier. He was the annoying little rat that we love, that I loved when he came to the club. He was my favourite player in 2017. He was annoying. He kicked goals. He tackled. He broke the AFL record for tackles.
A strange thing to love.
In 2017. That's no mean feat for Dev. But good to see him getting back to it. And him and this next guy were probably the 2 we were most critical of a month ago, and they've both made their own spots in that side, and that's him and Tom Cutler.
Yeah, agree.
24 touches for Cutler, 18 of them kicks, as we pointed out earlier. One lovely kick to Waterman. But he's just kind of forced his own role in the back half of the ground.
Yeah. But it's funny because I sort of throw him more as a wingman, but by putting him off that half back flank, and you know, I guess that's Francis's role, and sending Francis forward, it's really worked for the team. Like I don't know if it was planned or it's just something they had to do because of whatnot, but it's really helped with the team because he a bit like Francis. He kicks like Francis's always role. I thought in the back half was because of his elite kicking. Like he uses the ball really well, and Cutler's doing that. But Cutler's brought the ability to run with it. Like he covers a lot of distance as well.
And he took a few nice intercept marks too, actually.
Yep. So yeah, it's just exciting. I think.
Well, it's good, and it's heartwarming. I don't know if that's the right word.
No.
To see guys just that you're critical of, and you sit there and go, "Oh, geez, I don't know if you're in that team when so and so comes back."
Yeah.
Whereas now we sit here and go, "Jesus, we've got to get Langford back in that side. We've got Caldwell. We've got Waller, Cox. How the freaking hell are you fitting them in?"
The one for me, if I was to jump to a negative.
Can I just finish on Cutler? Well, I want to finish on one thought before you move on.
Finish on Cutler.
8 intercept possessions as well.
Excellent.
Which was a 3rd overall in the game.
Yep, excellent. Okay, so if I can now jump to a negative, because, you know, we've got to do that sometimes.
Yep, we do. There's only one we can really talk about, isn't there?
I guess so. Do you have someone?
I think we have the same person.
Do we want to flip a coin and tell me who yours is?
Well, You're
making me feel weird. Okay. For me, Clark.
Dylan Clark.
Clark. Yep. I've loved these last couple of weeks, but the thing that concerns me, and this, you know, after talking about those other games and the pressure that's going to come in a final next week, is that he still looks a bit deer in the headlights and fumbles. Like when the pressure's coming at him, he fumbles. He doesn't make decisions quick enough. I worry about, you know, that. And I think, well, I don't know about Caldwell. He apparently played another sort of practice match on the weekend.
Yep.
I don't know, you know, his fitness and all that sort of stuff. But if you could just say role, Caldwell would be an upgrade for me from Clark. And if it depends on, again, Langford and Tippin Woody, if they could even take it. I don't know exactly what role. I guess Clark is playing a little bit of a tagging role, which, again, I thought Caldwell could probably play. Because the thing that worked last week, and this is probably why I don't think Clark will get dropped, is that he sort of did a little bit of tagging on Libba, who's has been their second best midfielder this year. but in the last few weeks has dropped off. So if they saw that work 3 rounds ago, I don't know if they'll not do it again. You'd think they'd do it again, wouldn't they?
Well, yeah. When you're the team that's won that game, you want to do the same again. But then you've got to assume the Bulldogs will be sitting there going, well, shit, we lost that game, so we need to do some things differently.
We can't let that happen again. And I wonder, that's why I think Caldwell to me might be just a good, that would be the only change I would make.
Well, I think, all right, let's before we go into changes, is there any other individuals we want to chat about?
I thought Redmond was awesome.
Yep.
As I said,
feel sorry for the guy with his dangerous tackles.
Oh, fuck me. Is he really? That wasn't a dangerous tackle either. Like,
I can see why, but his head didn't hit the ground.
The guy wasn't even hurt a bit.
You just...
And Merritt had got one about 10 seconds early up the other end and nothing.
Yeah. I get frustrated so much because I want my players being aggressive like that.
Yeah, same.
I want you going that bloody hard at every single tackle you make. And then they get pinged for a free kick and you saw Redmond get up and be frustrated and annoyed. Yep. I think credit to Heppel, went, walk away. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
And what's I think too is if you look at it, that the guy's trying to get out of the tackle. Like he's trying to, and Redmond therefore is trying harder to get more physical. So, I don't know. Special mentions too.
Yes, you're right. Redmond was brilliant. 2 goals. Yeah. One lovely kick at the end of the game. How you can kick 60 plus off 4 quarters of football is beyond me.
I thought Waterman played a role that was really good to see. Laverde and Ridley were just dominant down there. Like Laverde, he's just had a great year. Like he's one-on-one, he is dominating.
Go stat man. Have you still got that stat open?
No, I think I closed it. But he had was reading a stat earlier about his one-on-ones, and it's like he's had 54 and he's lost 20, I reckon. Something like that. Anyway, he's going pretty well in that class.
In terms of percentages of contests lost, we are at an all-time low, even compared to Hurley and all of our good defenders. Their percentage of losses in one-on-ones is lower than ever.
Yeah, somehow our defenders are better than this year. Are better than our other defenders we've had for a long time. That's just a weird thought.
It is a weird thought. I do want to actually. Sorry. I sort of said we only have one negative. And it's not a negative. I don't want to harp on the word negative. It's just the goods and the bads of a game of football. It happens. James Stewart, I'm still not sure.
Yeah, I understand, yeah.
It's just... He had the Collingwood kicked 4 goals in the first quarter, I believe. Every single one came from mistakes from us. One of those was the double 50 against Waterman, which I actually have no issue with because both times the umpire should have bloody called play on. DeGoey took a friggin' metre sidestep and the umpire didn't call play on. But what else is Waterman meant to do? He's allowed to man the mark. I don't understand that rule. Anyway,
Great.
One was from Lav ripping Dacos's head off. Free kick every day of the week, that's fine. One was Lav got lost against his opponent. Again, it kind of happens. One was Stewart got the ball, had plenty of time to get rid of it, kicked it straight to a Collingwood player who kicked it back in and they kicked a goal from Elliott, I believe. Just moments like that. And he got beaten by someone in there, I think it was Cameron. Chest mark. Again, his forward is able to take a chest mark against him when Stewart's right there behind him.
Yeah, he was behind then, he shouldn't have been. But the thing that they will assume, I'll make the assumption that English will play forward this week. Who else? There's no one else unless you bring back Hooker and play him as a defensive option, which I don't think you do. So he plays, I agree, he's got there's some nerve-wracking moments, but he's the only guy that's going to be able to play on English, who's, I'm assuming, 204-ish sort of centimetres.
It will be interesting this time, actually, because Lav played on Bruce, who's not going to be there, and Ridley played on Norton, and Norton had a good marking game, wasn't able to kick and convert.
I wonder if Lav goes to him.
So I wonder if Lav goes to Norton and then maybe Ridley on Waitman.
I don't know, because Lav's been going toward more of the muscly sort of...
This is preview territory.
Yeah, that's fine. We're allowed to get a little bit into it. But
yeah, I know. I'm just saying. We're digressing a bit.
It'll be interesting, the matchups.
It will be.
But that's why I think Stewart stays in the side. I agree that.
I don't think he's out of the side. I just think that's a real area we're looking at going, if I was to look at that team now and go, what's the biggest weak point in that side?
How do
that's probably it.
Yep. Opposition teams will be looking at how do they expose that.
We do need to talk a little bit about Francis, because I said we would earlier on. Hasn't kicked a goal in 2 weeks. Am I right in saying that? Didn't kick a goal last week. Didn't kick a goal this week.
Yeah, I'll believe you.
But is more than playing his role.
More, yeah.
Like he's doing everything he can.
When he hits packs too, the packs spill.
Yep, he can take mark.
I'm just. I do think about, like, in the future, like, how does Jones go back into that team? Does Jones take his spot? Not, I'm saying next week or anything, but in the future.
Well, this is a good question, because going well forward into next season, you're going to have Wright and Francis. You're going to have Jones. You're going to have Baldwin.
Yeah, Baldwin, who again played another practice match on the weekend.
So one of those guys at least has to be depth. Wow. But they've all got a claim to be in that best 22, which is great, don't get me wrong, because you got pressure on spots then. Honestly, right now, I think Jones is that depth. We're scoring as freely as we have all year. Well, I mean, we haven't seen Baldwin. We haven't seen Baldwin yet either.
No, but geez, that's a big call. But Jones was pretty...
We're scoring as well as we have all year now.
Yeah, but Jones was playing his first year. If I gave him a preseason and then brought him back into the team,
Yeah, I know. I'm with you. It's hard, but
it's
a
great situation, though. Great situation to be in, where we're talking about a guy who we really rate. We're now saying, oh, gee, you can't get a game, but I'm sure they'll find a way.
Well, you can't have 4 of them.
Who's the 4th? Stringer.
You can't have Wright, Francis,
can't have Wright,
Jones,
Francis, and Jones.
Baldwin. So that's what I mean. You can't have all 4 of them in the same side.
Well, the question then would be Waterman. No, I don't think we talk about Baldwin. He's got to put some footy together first.
They got rats. Their plan for him is that he's going to be a very good footballer.
Yeah, and he's only going to play forward. He's not one of those guys who can play anywhere. Waterman would probably be the one that, for me, because at the moment he's playing as a small, if that makes sense. Maybe a medium-sized tall, I don't know. Well, he's small, but they seem to be playing as a tall position.
No, I like it. Stick with it. The tall, small.
So would Jones and Francis could play... I think Jones, Francis, and Peter Wright would be awesome.
I think so too, but I just... Whenever things are working...
With Perkins, Smith...
It's a balance.
Perkins, Smith, and Stringer in and out of there is really... yeah.
Anyway,
and possibly like a Caldwell. Wow.
This is a real post-season kind of discussion.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes you end up there in these conversations.
Yeah, I know. I want to have these discussions, but not now.
Oh, you're so regimented about this, buddy.
Well, we don't want to be repeating ourselves if we're going to do a chat post-season.
As if that many people are going to be listening to both of them.
We need to assume.
Let's wrap this up.
All right. We need to do some votes. I think we're agreed that Dev Smith gets 3.
Yeah, Redman and probably Stringer.
Yeah. I want Stringer in there. And that's... I reckon that was probably as an equal across the board team performance as we've had all year. There was no, apart from Dev, real massive standouts. Stringer, 24 touches and 2 goals. That's pretty influential. And Redmond's 2 goals. And
Merritt Parish was held to like 14 or something.
21.
21. Oh, okay. And Merritt only had 27 or something like that. So from that perspective, our major ball winners didn't really win a lot of ball. But as we said, they didn't need to, because the ball was being won in the back half. And there was guys like Durham and Cutler and Red Dog who were really using it well.
Yep. 6 clearances for Stringer as well. So 3 for Dev, 2 for, I reckon, Stringer.
I reckon Red Dog, but yeah, that's fine.
Right.
We could be different. We don't have to do the same.
Different. All right, I'm going 2 Stringer, 1 Redmond.
I'll go the other one.
And half a vote to Cutler. Just because I can.
The Clubman Award. You know that award.
Yep. The David Myers Most Improved Award.
Yeah.
Poor guy. All right. The other thing then is, what do we think we're going to see in terms of changes? The easiest thing
I've outlined mine,
is if there's no injuries, you have to think no change. Yep. If Langford is fit and available, that poses a question as to whether...
But I don't think he would be, because what's it been, 3 weeks since his last hamstring?
Yeah, I reckon he would have needed the bye.
And he only just got it, like he had 2 or 3 weeks before that and did the hamstring, and so I can't... I don't think Langford would be right. I think it's Tip and Woody or Caldwell that should be the fit ones, but...
Well, this is a bit of the broader conversation. If it was Langford, does Durham come out? No disrespect to Durham, no saying he's not playing good football, but Langford just is an upgrade. So do we need to bring back in...
For one, I don't think Langford's the one that's the possibility. I think he's the furthest from the possibility because he's still training, whereas the other ones we're talking about...
Just the theory of bringing back the upgrade for the depth. Yeah,
but that's a conversation if we win this week, then we talk about next week. But the practicality is that Langford is still in just a training block. Like he hasn't hit full training or anything like that. Whereas Caldwell and, from my understanding, Tip and Woody played in a practice game on the weekend. So if there's anyone for selection, it's out of those two. So it's just even though the Langford's a great thing, I don't think it's even a possibility. So it's no point having even thought about it.
I'm saying no change. If I'm the Dogs and I see McDonald, Tip and Woody in, I'm not happy about that. So I'm happy for him to come back in. My concern there is who goes out. So I'm just saying no change.
Yeah.
Are you?
To me, it's hard. Ball's on the line. If players are fit, then Tip and Woody comes in for Perkins or for Caldwell. For Caldwell. For what's his name?
Clark.
Not Guelphy, the other one. Clark.
Yep. Reasonable.
I still Tip and Woody is a dangerous player.
That's what I mean. If the Dogs see his name in, they're not happy. I'm not happy from a Dogs fan.
If he's fine, but as long as he's fine, I don't want him to be all whatever's wrong with him. But
well, he played in a practice match, so he's around the club. He's playing football. Yep. You have to assume that he may have gotten on top of whatever those issues were. This is such a difficult thing for us to speak about, but because we don't know what's happened, we don't know where he's at. But if he's playing in a practice match, we assume he's mentally fit to play.
Yep, it's Tip and Woody for Clark for me, and Caldwell I hold out for probably till next year because my concern with him is that he's missed so much footy in the last few years from injuries that I don't think he's risked for this game.
No. And you can't.
Whereas Tip and Woody's not an injury-prone guy.
No, and then a Caldwell comes on and gets injured in 5 minutes, and we've used our side. That's right. And there we go. Yeah,
that's right. Whereas Tip and Woody's not very unlikely to get injured. If he has a poor game, then he can still at least he still should get a goal from a tackle, like he can do, and he puts pressure.
If Waller comes in, I would really hope to see an energetic performance. He doesn't have to kick a lot of goals. Doesn't have to just be energetic and be tackling and be pressuring and be the Waller we love.
Yeah.
But you don't have to kick the goals. If you're playing that other role,
if he's getting involved in setting up goals, and that's all he has to do.
We're okay. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. In case you missed it, we're in finals.
Finals.
We didn't have to rely.
We can say the F word.
We did it on our own, and that is the bit I'm most proud of. We did it on our own. Didn't have to rely on other teams to lose for us to get in. They did, but we still won. It's not our fault we got scheduled when we got scheduled. No, huge game against the Dogs. Huge game. Pump up
Sunday
podcast.
Are you happy it's a Sunday?
Yeah, I'm glad we get the 7 days. I'm glad we get it in Tassie. Tassie fans, get out. I can't wait. We had a great turn up against Hawthorn.
It'll be massive.
Huge preview coming on Thursday night. I'm looking forward to that. I'm positive. We're winning our first final. Fuck it. We're winning.
I'm positive too.
We're winning. Get it. Print that on your t-shirt. We're winning.
Oh, did you want to mention comments and podcast?
No, I don't. That's fine. For another day.
So make sure people comment about what you want us to talk about on Thursday night.
Oh, that's what you meant. Yeah, get in the comment. Always get in the comment. Sorry. 3,000 conversations went through my head then. I had no idea which one you were referring to.
I just want to say how hard it can be sometimes, people. Yeah. I try, but...
I'm difficult, but I'm learning the ropes, and I'm the one here that's least qualified to be the quote-unquote host, and yet here I am, so...
Oh, you're qualified.
Let's, All right, get in the comments. Get excited. We'll chat to you on Thursday night when we talk about an elimination final against the Bulldogs. Go the Dons.
Go the Dons.